All right. Good morning. Good morning. It is Thursday, May 19th. New York session. Looking looking pretty good out there today. I think there's going to be some good setups. As far as news goes today, we didn't really have anything overnight. Although we did have we did have Australian dollar unemployment rate and employment change come through at Asian session last night, and the employment change came in worse than expected. The unemployment rate was right in par with what they expected, so the numbers were a little mixed, but it Australian dollar steady after jobs data mid-risk. So you saw the Australian dollar actually pump up pretty good last night. Nice solid move overnight with the Australian dollar with that news. However, that was the only news we had overnight. And as far as today goes, we have at 8:30 U.S. dollar unemployment claims and the Philly Fed manufacturing index. Probably not going to get much movement off of them, in my opinion, but we'll see. Let's take a look, see if there's any other news. I got to keep an eye out that came out. Powell says Fed will keep pushing until inflation comes down. Okay, oil falls. Let's see. Not seeing any news to really factor into my trading day here. Yeah, now, all right, cool. Let's take a look at technicals. All right. I did have a really solid Asian session trade last night. So basically my thesis, so it's only Australian dollar versus the US dollar. And looking at the daily on the Australian dollar, we were heading down pretty heavily, really heavily, bearish engulfing off of this daily resistance level. And so once we had this extreme sell-off here through these lows, and we came down and retested this breakout right here, I was looking for a squeeze up, right? I was looking for a squeeze to create, and honestly, I thought we were going to squeeze up to create that upper wick and then roll back over. Didn't roll back over, but I was correct in my analysis as far as the squeeze goes. And if you look at the move, right before the market closed, we had some nice momentum, and then it stalled, obviously. And after you saw this this bullish hammer right here, and then you hop on down to the lower time frame. Once I saw we had this break here, bullish engulfing, that's where I took my entry. So I took my entry right there, and then put my stop below the low right here, and I just went for a quick ride up, a quick ride back up. Whoops. Up into this zone right in here, and it went right to it. Pretty strong play as the market opened back up overnight, but that's pretty much it for the Asian. Good morning, Taz. Good to see you. I think you're having a good day over there in Germany. Hope you didn't spend too much out there shopping with your mother. Yeah, so good move last night. But let's take a look at technicals today. See what's setting up. See what we have in store for us. Interesting price action for pound yen overnight. Asian session, you had a break of lows, bullish engulfing here, and so that led us. That was a nice liquidity grab to squeeze us right back up to this area of resistance in here. And so after this strong move through Asian session, we started rolling back over into pre-London. And as London opened back up, we then started rolling back over, and then we retested this level of support here and bounced off pretty nicely. So let's take a look at the higher time frames. We'll start in the weekly. Weekly chart, we have 1 day left because today's Thursday. Weekly chart, we have some pretty extreme bearish momentum in here. Something to definitely keep in mind. Looking at the current week, We pushed really hard, tried breaking up through the last week, but we have a massive rejection, and we're now back almost towards the week's open. Keep in mind though, we are sitting at this level of this previous breakout, which is a now level of support being found. Last week we have a really big tail, and so this week I'm not too surprised with the price action. I do still think we're going to head up. Mainly reason being is we have this massive tail and we're slowing down with this bearish momentum. This week, although we do have a big rejection to the upside, it's still you still have all this bearish momentum, so it's not going to, most likely not going to have this massive bearish or bullish engulfing on the weekly chart right after we have these 3 weeks of sell-off. So you saw some profit taking in there with this week from the sellers in the last few weeks, and so now we're sitting at this level of support. One thing I'd be watching is, let's take a look at the daily and I'll show you the one thing I'll be watching. So look at the daily here. We are maintaining lower highs in here. We had these nice lows in here that we swept through a few days last week, pushed right through, and now we have this bearish engulfing looking at yesterday. So looking at today, we started off pushing up, like I mentioned, through Asian session, and then we started rolling back over, heading into pre-London and London session. So I'd expect a continuation up here, basically because we had that Asian session move, London reversal, and then we will either get a New York session continuation or a New York session reversal. And the way that the market seems to be playing right now is we'll get that New York session continuation back up towards this level of resistance. My main thing I'm watching right now on the pound yen is this level of support right here. This is where we had some massive resistance here for a few months back in 2021, right in here. So we are now sitting on it. We have this wick right here providing a level of support here. We have yesterday closing at that support, and now we have today sitting at that support with that wick on the bottom of it. So looking at the 4 hour, the 1 hour, I'm going to hop down the 1 hour, skip the 4 hour. Looking at the 1 hour, sorry. Yeah, so looking at the 1 hour in here, looking at today's price action, it's looking pretty solid for a continuation up. So what I'm looking at right now is we obviously had this liquidity grab, bullish engulfing, and so now typically what you want to see after that is hopping down to lower time frames and finding, okay, where's that retest point? That retest point is going to be right here. So it needs to hold 158.141 in order for me to want to buy. If it starts breaking below this line right here of 158.141, which is the beginning of the bearish candle that broke the liquidity zone, then the trade's invalid and we're most likely going to start falling lower. I'll look for a fall, retest, sell here, and a continuation down. However, as long as we maintain presence above this 158.141 level, then I'm going to be a buyer in the market. Looking at 30-minute, really no surprise we're having this pullback here. We had 3 marching candles right in here, retesting this resistance, and now we're pulling back. What I'd like to see is a break of this resistance, and then we have really clean traffic looking left right back up to this level of resistance at 159.700 area. So my trade for the day for pound yen will be, once we break through this level of resistance here, I will look for longs back up to this area of resistance, this green mark right here, so which is 159.600. So that'll be a solid 70 pip move. So that's a big move, and so we'll have plenty of room here and plenty of space to breathe. So that's my long idea. Let me type that in. Buys above here. And then sells. Really, the range that it's in is a no trade zone for me. I'm not looking to get chopped up in here. There's really no clean level. You have no edge in this zone it's trading in, and you got to trade where you have an edge, right? Don't trade in this zone right here. It's dog shit. So sells for me are going to be if we break and close. Has to close. If we break and close below this level of support right here, which we're going to say is 158, 100, closes below 100, then I'm going to look for, depends on where it's at. If it closes in this zone here, between 158 and 900 and then the 100, then I'm going to wait. I'm not going to sell right away. I'm going to wait for a breakdown, retest, and then I'll sell that way. Either way, what I'd like to see is, for the sell thesis, is a break below the support, and then I'll wait for a Fibonacci retracement, right? So I'll draw my fibs, and then wherever it decides to retrace to is where then I'll look for my sell. It's going to be patient. Looking at the overall move, I guess, so the fibs right here, so given this entire move here, I'd expect continuation down to 156, 800 area, which will complete this fib here where we pull back to 38.2, 500, and now we'll head back down to negative 27%. You got to remember, where is the current momentum? Where's the current momentum, right? So where I like to go to see where the current momentum is the 1 hour and 4 hour. And you can obviously see the last few weeks has just been a straight downtrend, right? And so drawing market structure out, you have a high to a low, to a high, to a low, to a high, and now we're heading down to our new low. So here's our previous highs. So drawing my fibs from high to low here, you can expect, now that we had this rejection at 6218, you can expect to move down, if it's going to follow market structure, not break structure, down to 154, 400. Like that. And so that's the way I'll play it. Is the next break of structure point is this low right here. So I'll look for and then I'll play the same intraday areas, buys and then sells. So that's my thesis for pound yen. So we'll just wait, let it play out. All right, let's look at gold. Gold. I want to sell it right now. I tell you, so one thing to definitely keep a note on when you're trading gold is, and it took me a lot of losses with gold to figure this out, is, and I know Taz, I know you know this because we talk about it all the time, it collects and then goes, right? It collects then goes. And so if you look at the 15-minute, this is a great example of it. You're looking at it, okay, cool, nice bullish flag, it breaks, is high, I want to buy, whoop, buy it, and then it fails, right? So this right here is one big just collection. It's collecting orders above here to go. It's people who were selling against this resistance is now getting stopped out, so it collects and goes. So it's collecting and then might actually give us this nice retracement here. So let's look at the overall move here before we start hopping in on stuff. Weekly chart. You obviously had some pretty strong, very strong bearish momentum looking at last week. We closed below this 1834 level, which is the level that I've been keeping an eye on for gold, and we bottomed out at that 1800 level. Which is typically a magnet for gold. So right now, weekly chart, we had our bottom wick. We rejected this level of liquidity in here, and now we're pushing up toward into 1830. Could you point your sell level in GJ? Yes. my sell level on GJ is going to be if we close below 158.100. Reason being, I'm not sure if you missed earlier, I talked about this level here. If you take a look at these lows and you see this clear break below and then bullish engulfing, that's a nice stop hunt. Nice liquidity run, grab some orders. So you want to point to where the beginning of that bearish candle starts, to where it breaks that liquidity level. And so that's where I drove it over 158.141. And so that's why you saw it wick right here and retest. I like the buys from here because typically after you get that, you get a nice run back up to highs. I like the buys back up into like 159.500 area. But if it does close below this area here of 158.100, then I'll look for sells back down into 150. I think initially we can get a nice run into 157.500, this area right here. And then, from there we'll reanalyze. But 157.500 will be my take profit for GJ. But yeah, buys above here, and then sells will be, we'll say right here. Yeah, buys, sells. Going back to gold. Look at the daily. Let's take a look at the daily. So if you look at these, what is price action telling you here? Well, price action is telling you that price is obviously not accepted in this 10-point range right here of 1810 and 1800. Question on gold. Shoot, Taz. I'll analyze until I see your question come in. So price is obviously not accepted in this 10-point range. And so if it's not accepted in that range, where are we going to head? Most likely away from it. And that's what we're doing today. Do keep in mind, though, price is also not accepted at 1834. Right? You see the massive rejection in that area as well. You saw that 2 days ago. Wicked 1834 and rejected hard. So it's tough for me to want to trade in this range right here because we're stuck between the magnet of 1800 and the rejection point of 1834. But that is the 34 point range, which is massive. So I'm not going to not trade it in this range. It's just you got to make sure you're scalping between this range because there's no direction right now on where it wants to go. But what I'm expecting for gold, does the weakness in dollar during London session indicate a potential bullish price action in gold during New York session? I don't think so. Reason being is, although gold is priced against the dollar, so you would logically expect that the weakness in the dollar will indicate a bullish price action in gold. The reasoning, I understand the reasoning behind that and it makes sense, but I don't think there's enough validity behind that because I've been diving into gold for the last couple of years, and I haven't noticed a strong correlation between the dollar and gold. Now there's going to be that fundamental variation and stuff, but it's not enough for me to want to trade to factor that into my trading. So for me, not something I look at personally because after watching the dollar and gold for a while together, although they have some correlation, it's not enough for me. So, but by all means, if you want to back test it and see if you could find something, great. So looking at the overall move here, right? And you look at the high for gold, low for gold, high, low, right? And now what do we just do right here? We broke this high. And so what you can expect with this break of structure is you draw your Fibonacci's from high to low or low to high, and you look to see where it's rejecting, right? 1, 2, 3. 3 rejections at this 61.8% retracement. And so you could have expected somewhere in here and here, even in here, that it's going to have a nice bullish push. What would have indicated for me that, okay, this is the last retest, is after we saw this higher low being formed. Now, obviously, this is a massive candle, and you're like, well, how am I supposed to catch that? Lower time frames, I'm sure you could have caught it somewhere. But this is telling me that I think we'll get a nice run back up to 1845. And what kind of sticks out to me at 1845 is if you see massive movements in this for gold, and I think this was CPI, then you want to draw your Fibonacci's and find the 50% area of that move, and that happens to be the negative 27% retracement for the take profit area. So it's no coincidence, it's everything lines. If you do it right, it'll line up to a perfect level. So I think we'll get a continuation with gold. Maybe, I don't know if it's today, I don't know if it's tomorrow, whatever it is, but overall I expect us to grind back up to 1845, especially with us creating these higher lows. And now since we broke the structure, we should now create a higher high, and we'll maintain this channel in here. Look at the lower time frames. Pretty strong move. Wow. Starting at 4:30 in the morning. 4:30 in the morning. 3 hours ago. Yeah, no news. So Russia exports. Yeah, no news justifying that. So it's just a strong technical squeeze. It really had some really tight price action. And whenever you have price action this tight, now you get a strong push. Maybe it's not this big of a push, but gold moves in big waves, so it's nothing out of the ordinary for gold. So what you could have expected after all of this, you could have seen all this rejection in here at 1812 and said, okay, bullish engulfing, let's long, and set your stop below the rejection and then just look for a move like this. But that's cherry picking, that's hindsight bias. So what you could have also done is, after you've seen this big squeeze out of here, you could have taken a long here, look for a run. However, even if you missed those, what you can do now is look for some type of retracement. So looking at the 5-minute in here, very tight price action, very tight. It's not moving pretty heavily right now with gold. It's moving pretty choppy. So what you can expect going into 8 a.m. is you can expect a decent retracement. Look for some type of 1822 retracement. Find some type of support or big wicks somewhere to buy here and then move back up into 1834, 1845 area. So that's the only way I'll have a trade on gold today, is if we get a deep retracement. And where's a lot of wicks that we can expect a retracement to that's been going on today. So you have 1826 provides a lot of wicks. Where else can we expect? We can expect maybe 1824. That's where we had this high here and this low here. So I'd look for like an 1824 retracement. If it does deeper than that, then we have so much clean price action that it could easily retrace back down to 1818. So either way, I don't know where it's going to retrace back to, but the only way I get a trade back on gold is longs on a retracement, find support, lot of wicks, whatever it is, and then I look for longs. So I'm only looking for longs on gold on a retracement. There's no clean level for shorts. If you were trying to take the short on the way down, the only clean level, if you want to wait for it, is 1824, right in here. If it breaks if it breaks this low right here, if it breaks this low right here, you can expect a push down. If it's around 839, it can break through this no problem. Then you can expect a continuation back down. So if you're in the game for shorts, I'd wait until this low right here. Yeah, that's it though for gold. Let's take a look at GA. Oh man. All right, GA. Pretty ugly. Last few days have been really ugly. It's been sitting in this range in here. Clean range though, so pretty big range as well. So it's something you can trade. 200 pip range. You can obviously tell at the RSI there's no volume in it either. It's hugging the 50% level. Let's see. So the way I trade this is I would first find point A of the high. We'll put it right here. And then you have to find the low. We'll put it right here. And so then next find the 50% of that consolidation. And we'll put a line right there. So those are the three main points to keep an eye on in a consolidation zone. Point A, point B, and point C. And so those are the levels that you want to trade off of. Right? So, but you must wait for price to actually confirm. You can't be like, okay, it comes up here, let me take a blind sell here to drop. It could be the time where it starts pumping back up. If you're going to wait for a short off this level, wait for wicks and then a bearish engulfing or something, and then take a sell. Like same thing here, wicks, break, bearish engulfing, great, sell. Wait for some type of confirmation. GA is sticking to the resistance like a magnet. You're right, it is. It's a fairly big resistance in here. A couple weeks of rejecting. One thing that does stick out to me is you see this level that we drew right here, right, has been a pretty strong level of support in here and resistance. We have a big break to the downside and then a push back up. This is right here is just a massive liquidity grab below all these lows in here, and then we pumped right back in that range. So I'd expect us to continue back out of this range here eventually. I don't know when, but eventually, because we had this big grab here. One thing I'm watching now is we are maintaining these higher lows. So I think that will reach the top, come back down, reject the 50, reach the top, come back down, higher low, and then bust. So I think we'll eventually create this wedge in here. So in the meantime, just keep that in mind as well. So right now it'd be a nice little long to head back up to this 17,8250 area. Strong level of resistance right here. So if we get a nice close or break above that, it's a 50, 60 pip move to the upside. So my take profit will probably be right in here. So take profit is going to be up in this area, 1.78 and a quarter. So if we get a 5-minute, if we get in the next 12 minutes, this candlestick closes somewhere above this level in here. then I'll look for continuation up through here. So sells. So that's my long idea. It has to close above this area here. Sells. I'd consider sells if we close below the 50% level of this consolidation zone. Default zone. And then if we close below there, I'll look for a drop back down into this range here. And that will be around a 40 pip move. So 40 pips, 50 pips, good ranges. And so that's what I'm going to look for. Buys. Sells. All these allergies. Ugh. Yeah, so we'll see about that. Pound yen's still hanging out. Let's look at oil. Take a look at our buddy oil. I like the longs right now. Longs right now are looking really good. We should get a nice squeeze out of here. I think oil is going to have a really strong bounce today. But let's take a look at the overall move. Don't want to neglect the higher time frames. Look at the daily. Yesterday was a pretty strong rejection off of this 114.80 area. Created our swing high pattern, and now we're pushing back down. What I'm looking for now is we're at this probably the 38.2% retracement. Yes, we are. So we're sitting at 38.2% retracement. And not only that, but we're sitting at the level I've been watching for a while now amongst this entire consolidation area, 107.16. And that's almost where our bottom is today, where we always have this pivot point. It's a massive pivot point for oil. And so I'd expect it to hold. Looking at the 4-hour, massive rejection right now off that level. What I like right now is this 4-hour candle right here. You draw over the high and the low, and that should be the dip buying point for oil in here. So that's where that's the area I would watch. And that's where we're getting that massive rejection on the 4-hour. If we start breaking the 4-hour high, it looks like a nice long for a ride back up into this area of 110.640. 2-hour, I like the 2-hour. 2 hours looking really nice. Massive rejection on the last candle. And now this one, which started 30 minutes ago, had already created a slower wick. We break this 2-hour high, we're heading right back up into this high right here, which then might actually lead us into a break towards this resistance. So the longs on oil today looking really, really nice. Nice 1-hour play. I'd be buying it right now. Let me take a look at oil. All right. Oil. Cool. All right, so took a long on oil, and so my play here is basically looking at the 15-30 minute. I took a long after it started breaking these highs in here. Stop's going to be amongst these wicks, somewhere right here. Take profit will be at this high. Nice quick 3-to-1 play. I really like the higher time frames as well. The 1 hour, 2 hour, creating our lower wick, breaking this 1 hour high. We should have a nice continuation back up into this zone. So that's why I'm going to play it. Let's move my profit up here. Great. All right, cool. So have my level set up here. Awesome. So I'm actually, what I'm going to do is at this point probably have my stop below this current 30-minute breakout, and then have my take profit at these highs in here. So that's my level. That's what I'm going to do for oil. Awesome. See what else is going on in the markets. I also really like that we have this bullish engulfing right here at this rejection point of 107.16. Finding wicks in here, so we should have a strong push out of here. GA, 5 minutes potential buys. I think we could have some nice momentum out of the squeeze in here to push higher. GJ coming up to my buy point. GJ, I like the 1 hour. If it breaks this previous 1 hour high, I'll look for a long. Look for a long if it breaks this previous 1 hour high. I have a buy stop sitting there, right above these hourly highs is where my buy stop's sitting. So basically, what I'd like to see is maintain this wick here, start heading up. Nice 5 minute price action, wedging up into this level here. Hasn't triggered me in yet. My order's sitting at 860, price 860, right here. So it's sitting at 860 because I wanted to cover spreads. My stop will end up being around the 15-minute low. $860. Stop will be around 20 pips. Take profit. We'll go for somewhere up in the 500 area, 500 QP. And it is triggered me in. So I'm long, GJ. Based off the hourly chart, mainly the hourly chart. I also like the 15 and 30 minute as well. 5 minutes looking good. So we should have a nice squeeze in here for GJ. Let's move my take profit. Stop loss. Profit right there. We'll do 480 right before the 500 QP. So we're long GJ, long oil. Nice push in the pound yen. Oil still hanging out. Still looking good though. We have a minute till the 15-minute closes. As long as the 15-minute closes amongst these wicks here, we should have a nice push. So as long as the 15-minute doesn't retrace with the big wick, we'll be good. Pound yen still pushing strong. Pushing strong. I'm up about 17 pips so far on pound yen. This was a snipe. I saw a 0 drawdown in this. Strong move. I'm up 20 pips. I'm up a 1-to-1 so far on this trade. The next 5 minutes, no, 15-minute closed. Good, great 15-minute close in oil. What you can expect now is a wick to create a lower wick amongst these wicks right here. So somewhere in this area. So I really like my stop below this 15-minute low here because it shouldn't come back down here. If it does, then I don't like it. We did close above all these other wicks. And so we should just create a wick to have some bullish momentum up. Would you already set stop loss to break even on GJ? No, I would not. Reason being is I would be okay with the retracing back to my break even point. I bought at the breakout. Breakouts typically get retested. And so I don't want to micromanage my trade. I gotta let it breathe. Right? I'm not in for a scalp. I'm in for an intraday trade. So if it comes back down to retest the breakout point, that's completely normal. That's just typical price action. And if I set my stop loss to break even, I'm getting out, and this thing could go right back up to my take profit. So what I'll do here is I will move my stop up. I will move my stop up to probably right around like 730 area, because at that point I wouldn't want to see. So I'll cut my stop in half pretty much. I wouldn't want to see the trade come back below the breakout point. So I'll move my stop up, and I'm only risking half of what I was risking, but I won't move it to break even, because then if it comes to retest the breakout and it gets me out break even, then I'm going to be pissed off. This thing is just respects market structure and goes right back up. You know, to my thing is I went in the trade accepting the amount of money I was willing to lose. I've already accepted it, so I'm going to let the trade breathe and play out. So I've cut the loss in half already, and I'll let it go. Because if I'm getting antsy to set it to break even, and just to save myself from losing now half of what I had already accepted to risk, I'm missing out on a 3-to-1 trade. At this point, it's now 4-to-1 because I moved my stop up. So it's not my style. I do like though how there's no upper wick on this 15-minute here. We're creating our lower wick, retesting this breakout to then hopefully head back up. So you gotta make sure you let your trades breathe. Unless you're a scalper and you get in here for a tiny stop, and try to get that 1-to-1, 1.5-to-1, then I'd be at my full position. There's no reason to set your stop loss to break even. The thing is for me is you got to follow market structure. Market structure gave me no reason to set it to break even. you got to let it create a higher low first, and then you could, put it below that low. You'll rarely find consistency. Not rarely. I mean, obviously, some people, there's a diamond in the rough, but it's going to be tough to find consistency if you're not playing market structure, where I take a long here, my stop's below the low, right? And I'm looking for a move back up to here. Okay, boom. I'm not putting it to break even yet. There's no reason to. Okay, it comes down, retraces. It would have knocked me out, but it goes right back up. Now what I'll do is I'll set my stop loss right here, trailing market structure. Okay, so boom. Now we're heading up, right? So now we're heading up, boom. Once we find another higher low, boom, I'll set my stop loss here. At that point, my entry was here. My stop loss is now in profit, right? So you got to follow market structure, and there has to be a reason for what you do. And for me, there's no reason at all to start touching your trade. And so now you're seeing the 5-minute break structure to the upside, this wedge break. So now it should maintain. If this 5-minute starts breaking up and breaking these highs, then maybe I'll consider putting it to break even, because this one candle here was the retest. We're now breaking the highs. We should head back up. And so then maybe I'll actually consider doing break even, because we already had that retest. But for me, I'd probably want to see a 5-minute close, because you can often see it wicks the resistance here and starts heading back down to retest it. There's no closed volume. If it does have closed volume at these highs and breaks up, then I'll put my stop here. It's not a swing low until you have closed volume. Any news, any news, any news? No news, nothing still, so just chilling. 8 minutes till 8 o'clock, volume comes in. Oil did not like that breakout. Yeah, nasty range. I'm not going to touch oil in this range right here. So even if it moves back to your entry point, you're tracing like 20 pips, that's still okay as long as it didn't break market structure. Exactly. Look, I mean, the thing is you got to let the trade breathe, right? And the reason I placed my stop where it is because then if it hits it, it invalidates the trade, and I was just wrong. It is what it is. It's part of the 30-40% of times that I'm wrong. It is what it is. But that's why you can't always micromanage your trades so much, because this 3-4 to 1 trade I'm shooting for, that covers 3 losses. If I were to have break even and it hits me out break even and it goes up to my 4 to 1 take profit, like, it's going to be hard to find profitable consistency if you're always micromanaging and you're not following market structure. Market structure is key. Is the most important thing is market structure. And so that's why I had my stop below this current candle low, because if it starts breaking that candle low this is a fake out, and it's going to start pushing back down to the low in here. And I was just wrong on the trade, and that's okay. And so yeah, even if it goes 20 pips, goes up, so this thing went up 20 pips. And okay, cool, 20 pips for my entry, and it comes back down to my entry, retracing 20 pips. It's still okay because market structure is being held, right? So you got to decide what type of trader you are. Are you a scalper or are you an intraday trader? Either way, you got to know market structure, right? But if you're a scalper, 20 pips is great. You should be out at 20 pips. But if you're an intraday trader, you got to trade with market structure. Stop at this low, take profit, somewhere at the next level of resistance here, and then just let the trade breathe. Because you might have, it might take, boom, boom, it might play around in here, but eventually it'll go up to your take profit, right? So there's going to be a lot of movement and fluctuations within market structure. You just got to be patient and let it breathe. Very rarely does it go one bar straight up to your take profit. And so for me, I went in accepting a 20 pip stop loss risk because that's a break of structure. Now at this point, I'm moving it up a little bit to like right here because it shouldn't break below this candle's low here and reverse this breakout here. But so that's something you could do, is you could trail your stop, but it always should be with market structure. It should never be random. And trailing to my break-even point is random because I'm scared to risk. I'm scared to lose my money. If you're scared to lose your money, you're now feeling emotions, and scared money makes no money. So it's just trading. You've got to accept the risk, right? And so there's no reason to move it to break even yet. And so if we close above this area here in the 5 minute, I'll move my stop loss in profit to right here, to like right under. So it won't be much of a win by any means if it starts reversing and hits that. But at that point, I'm okay with it because I'm playing market structure at that point, and it broke market structure for me. I like this 15 minute also. 15 minute close is extremely strong, and then this current one, lower wick, and we're now sitting at these highs in here. So we have 2 minutes left in this 15 minute. A lot could happen. We could either reverse and retest this breakout still, or we can hold up these highs. If we hold up these highs with this rejection wick, we're most likely going to break the high and head up. We just needed a little bit of consolidation after this big ignition bar, which is what you're seeing on the 5 minute. GA could be, now I would say it could be nice buys. I think it will be nice buys. You do have clean traffic looking left, but really not until you break this wick here. If you break that wick, you have about 40 pips to the upside. Yeah, it's just at that tough rejection zone for me. Too many wicks in here. If the 30 minute for GA closes above, let's say, 1.77580, then I'll look for longs, but a lot of rejections in here. It's too choppy. GJ is a lot cleaner. Bless you, Mike. Taz. Oh, man. Oh, Taz. Taz, can you hear me better today? I think I fixed my volume. So let me know if you can hear me better. Also, if you can do this for me, let's try this again. Do that. It's off my screen. I forgot. But try to get that URL thing again. So this time though, copy the X. This time, what I want you to do is copy this whole section here. AfterTradingView.com, copy all that, and see if you can paste that in the chat. I want to see if the charts are, if I can get the charts to work. Oh, you couldn't even see my URL. I just realized. Sorry, but so after you get the charts, the new tab, copy the dash, X dash, and everything after that. I want to see if we can get this chart working. So let me show you real quick. Open, copy. So my URL was this. Okay. What I want you to copy is this. See if you can copy this into the chat box for YouTube. Anything after tradingview.com, just this stuff. Let's see if that works. I don't understand why it's not sending. It's not a link. It's pretty much anything. Like it's you're chatting with me, right? Let me try. Do you see that in the chat? But why is that not sending? It's not a link. It's not. I don't think it's an issue on my end. Let me try. Let me go on YouTube myself on the incognito tab and see if I can do it. All right, let's see. Whoops, hang on. I should log into a different account. Hang on. Let's see if this will work. No, yeah, it has. It's not working. So you see the one by Tyler Trades, and that's the admin one. So that's going to show. It didn't show when I sent it from my other account. So interesting. It's not on your end. Let me see if I could figure out the settings, the chat settings, because I want to figure that out. Huh. Oh, I see. I see what I did, Taz. Try, Taz, if you can, try again. So if GJ breaks the low with 15-minute, then bye birdie. I think if GJ hits my stop, which is half of what I was risking, right? Because I was risking 20 pips and it's at 10 now. If GJ hits 158, 750, then I think you can say that. Because then we're moving below this breakout right here, breaking this low, and then we're probably going to head back down into this zone. So this is going to be a fake out. So shall see. But yeah, so see if you can send that chat again, the link. All right, 7:30, so it's at 7. Okay. So we came down, retested this breakout point here, left this wick. We're at the 38.2% retracement. So if it's going to go up, it's going to go up from here. 15 minute, 5 minutes left in the close. So I'd want to see this 15 minute leave a wick and close back up here somewhere. If it closes down here, then I think it's in, I think it's in danger. So we'll see. Trying to look into that TAS because I thought I fixed it. Maybe it won't go through until I do another live stream. Maybe it's not going to kick in for this one. I thought I fixed it because what happened was I had something clicked on the back end to where it will hide potentially spam comments, and I clicked allow all comments and saved it. And I think that was it, but I don't know if it's going to kick in until the next live stream, or if that was not it. However, I will get it figured out. I will figure it out. If this 15-minute closes back in this range here, then this could potentially be a fake out, and it could head back lower to the bottom end of this range here. So that's if oil closes above this range here, then it could be a nice long. So here, I'm going to give you my final thoughts before I hop off here. Oil, if it closes above this area here, I still think it has enough momentum and rejection here to head up. It just wasn't ready yet. I think come 8:30 could give it some volume to kick into the upside. So looking for longs there. GJ, keeping an eye on this 15-minute. This 15-minute right here could be a nice rejection, bearish engulfing here to head right back down to the bottom end of the range, and that could give you a nice 50 pip move. So keeping an eye on that for GJ. Nothing for GA. It's just, yeah, there's my two trades for the day. It's just a little choppy out there for most of the currencies. So don't want to get chopped up in this market here. So yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Gold, again, I'll look for some type of retracement to buy. But gold could have decent sells right now. Looking for a break of this low to head back down. Could have decent sells right now. But that's it. I'll leave you at that. Yeah, safe trading out there today. Pretty choppy, yeah, so play it safe. And I will see you next time. Have a good one, Taz. Thanks for hopping in.